Okay, now I'm bringing in my man DJ Johnny John, my producer. We're going to play a game called Furious 5.
The Furious 5.
All right, Chris, so you know that trades are starting to heat up. We're about a month away from the trade deadline here in the NBA. So I wanted to ask you, what are your 5 trades that you would like to see happen now?
These are trades I'd like to see happen because I'm all about trying to strengthen teams that can at least get within shouting distance of Cleveland and Golden
These are 5 that would make the league better.
Yeah,
and just
exactly.
More exciting.
Yeah, create more drama and suspense. All right, so number 1, we know what's going on in New York with Carmelo Anthony. Phil Jackson's all but trying to escort him out the door. So I say, Melo, look, go elsewhere. All right, tell him you'll go somewhere else. And I say, go to Boston. All right, Carmelo Anthony to Boston for Jay Crowder, Amir Johnson, Jonas Jerebko, and Boston's first-round pick in 2018. Not the one they got from the Nets, but their own pick. Okay. So what that does to me, if you're Boston, now I get Carmelo Anthony. I've got a big 3 now with Al Horford, Isaiah Thomas, and Carmelo Anthony. Okay. And I think now I can, at the very least, I should be able to make a strong run to the Eastern Conference Finals. Battle Toronto for that. If I'm New York, Amir Johnson's $12 million contract's expiring. Jonas Jerebko's $5 million contract's expiring. So that gives me $17 million of extra cap room. And then I like Jay Crowder. I think he's a guy I can keep in the future. And I get a first-round pick in 2018. So I think that could be a deal that works out for both teams. Because New York, it's all about building around Kristaps Porzingis.
Got it. So this is you're going for the future for the Knicks.
Yeah. Because the present don't look that.
It don't look that good right now. It don't look that good right now.
All right. So my second trade. All right. This is a tough one, but I'll roll the dice. If I'm Washington, they're playing well lately. Okay. Now they're firmly in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. They've been winning a lot of games. Bradley Beal and John Wall hitting their stride. But where are you going ultimately? Okay, that's a good team, but ultimately, like, how far is that really going? You're not even in Cleveland's league, okay? So now I'm going to trade Bradley Beal and Otto Porter Jr. to Sacramento for DeMarcus Cousins and Aaron Aflalo.
Okay.
So now, if I'm Washington, I'm getting DeMarcus Cousins. I know he can be a headache, all right? He's got 1 year deal, 1 year left on his deal after this. If it doesn't work out, you can just wave him goodbye, okay? But he's friends and former teammates in college, of course, with John Wall, okay? So maybe that can work. You bring him into the East where it's not quite as competitive. So those two, that duo by itself should make you pretty strong. I keep Marcin Gortat, who's a double-double guy now. I bring on Aaron Aflalo, who as a role player is very good, okay? Can shoot it, can defend. So I think I've strengthened my team and raised our ceiling, okay? As far as Sacramento, Rudy Gay has told me he's leaving in the summer as a free agent. So I bring in Otto Porter Jr., who's actually starting to come into his own this year in Washington as a small forward. And, of course, I get Bradley Beal, who, if he can stay healthy, is one of the top 2 guards in the league. So that's why I like that deal for both teams. And if you're Sacramento, you want this star, you're in the new arena, Bradley Beal is a name. He's a good, solid guy that you can sell to the fans.
I like that. I like that a lot.
You like that one?
I like that.
How good does that make Washington, you think?
I think it gives them a chance. I mean,
a chance to.
I think to compete. I mean, maybe not this year. Maybe not.
Compete,
maybe not.
Well, like
Boogie in the
deep
East,
in the playoffs.
Yes.
I mean,
Boogie
not
in the
Cleveland.
East could really, really shine.
Damn.
Like he could really shine, and him and Wall are together.
Yeah.
I would give that a good shot.
And I think
you
the
still
thing
need
with
pieces
Boogie,
around it.
Yeah, but you have your building blocks.
But and they're not doing anything right now anyway.
No, you're not. Best case scenario, you're not going that far. And Boogie, he's been saying all the right things about Sacramento, but I don't think he's going to. He needs a fresh start. They need to just start over, and I think he'll be a good soldier in another place.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I like that. What about number 3? What's your third trade?
This is a kind of a lateral move for both teams, but Rajon Rondo, we know it's not going well in Chicago, to Minnesota for Ricky Rubio.
Okay.
So Rondo goes to Minnesota. Tom Thibodeau was an assistant coach with the Celtics when Rondo played there with the Big Three. Okay, so hopefully that will work out. He can play, he's got at least a defensive mindset. He's not what he used to be on the defensive end. But he, can play the point guard and help groom Chris Dunn until Dunn's ready to take over at the point. And, a veteran presence, a guy that's, won games, won a title, played deep in the playoffs in other years. I think he'd be good for their young guys. And by all accounts, he had his one bust up with the coach in Chicago. But for the most part, his attitude, he's been pretty good in Chicago. Ricky Rubio, young player, can play the up-tempo style that Fred Hoiberg likes. Obviously a pass-first point guard. Can't shoot it. I know that's still a problem in Chicago. But at least he'll be willing to give it up to D-Wade, give it up to Jimmy Butler. And you go from there.
All right. I think that makes a lot of sense. What about your fourth?
Number 4, again, trying to strengthen the Raptors. Okay. I've strengthened, I think, Washington and Boston. The Raptors, Paul Millsap from Atlanta to Toronto for DeMarre Carroll and Terrence Ross. Now, here's the deal. The Atlanta said they're not trading Millsap right now. Okay. Millsap wants the max deal in the summer. Okay. Atlanta's hedging on whether or not they're going to give him that. Okay. So if you're not going to give him the max, then get something for him. Yeah. Okay. Get DeMarre Carroll, who we know was in Atlanta before and played well for you. Tough, hard-nosed guy, can shoot the three. Terrence Ross, athletic player. This improves your three-point shooting if you're the Hawks. You lost Kyle Korver in the trade, so it improves you on that end. Around a point guard in Dennis Schroeder, who's a penetrate and kick guy, and a post player, not what he used to be, but Dwight Howard. So around those two types of players, you want shooters. So I think you get that in this trade if you're Atlanta. If you're Toronto, obviously you get a big three as well, with DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, and now Paul Millsap. And I think that makes you strong. I don't think it beats Cleveland, but it makes you strong.
Yeah, I think that trade really lines up with what both organizations are moving towards.
Yeah,
so I like that. I like that a lot. All right, and your last one, what do you got?
Last one, this is interesting. Goran Dragic. We know Miami they need to just rebuild, start all over. Goran Dragic to Denver. Okay, which looks like an up-and-coming young team. Although for Emmanuel Mudiay, young point guard they drafted in the lottery last year. Jamal Murray, who's young, but Gary Harris, is really playing much better than Murray at this point. All right, and then Kenneth Faried, who they've been trying to get rid of for a while now. So why do that if I'm Denver? Everybody can't be young, okay? So I like Dragic. He's a veteran point guard. He's a guy from Europe. They have a lot of European players with Jokic there, Danilo Gallinari, Wilson Chandler. I think that you put Dragic in that lineup, and look, you're not contending in the West, but I think you're a firm playoff team now. If you get that in, and that's good enough for Denver for right now. It's been a while since they've been competitive. If I'm Miami, I get Emmanuel Mudiay, who, I want him to grow with Justice Winslow, Hassan Whiteside, Tyler Johnson, some of the other young players, and, see what he can become. And Jamal Murray, obviously, another young guy. Kenneth Faried, I'm bringing him along because I want to get Mudiay and see what he can become. And Faried's a tough, hard-nosed guy, too, so, he might fit, the Pat Riley mold of player. So those are my 5 trades that I would like to see happen before the trade deadline.